All right, so we're diving deep today. And I got to say, this one's really grabbed my attention. We're talking Jewish folklore, but not just the usual stories.
Yeah, this is some next level stuff.
We're going full conspiracy theory on the Dybbuk. I mean, a spirit that can possess the living? Come on, that's creepy enough on its own.
Oh, absolutely. That basic idea is already pretty unsettling.
But then you add these layers of, like, secret societies and interdimensional beings, and it goes from spooky to straight up mind-blowing.
It really does make you question, like, what's really going on out there?
Exactly. So for anyone who might not be familiar with the Dybbuk, let's just do a quick rundown. It's basically like a clinging spirit, right?
Yeah, in the most traditional sense, they're talking about the soul of someone who's died, but they haven't moved on for whatever reason.
And instead of, going towards the light or whatever, they latch onto a living person.
Right, which already sounds like a pretty bad time.
No kidding. But, and here's where it gets interesting, some people believe it goes way beyond just a restless soul.
Oh yeah, much deeper. The idea that it might not be human at all, that's when things get really wild.
So before we get into all that, I think it's important to point out that the Dybbuk wasn't exactly like a household name until the early 1900s.
That's a really good point. I mean, you had the play The Dybbuk, which premiered in 1920, and that really seemed to capture people's imaginations.
It definitely brought the Dybbuk into the public consciousness, didn't it? This whole story of a young woman possessed by the spirit of, I think it was her dead lover.
Yeah, that's the one. And it's so tragic, so intense, it really resonated with people. But it also kind of opened the door for, well, for some of these darker interpretations.
You think that surge in popularity kind of set the stage for the conspiracy theories?
It's hard to say for sure, but I definitely think it planted a seed. Because the play doesn't shy away from the creepier aspects of the Dybbuk. It's not just a sad, lost soul. There's this sense of something malevolent, something dangerous.
Oh, yeah, for sure. It's like it introduced the idea that maybe there's more to these possessions than we initially thought. And that kind of leads us perfectly to the first conspiracy theory we wanted to discuss, the one about Dybbuks being, well, not human souls at all.
Right. It's not just someone you knew coming back to haunt you. It's something else entirely. An entity from another dimension.
Whoa. Okay, so walk me through this. How does that even work?
Well, the theory goes that these beings, they exist on some plane of existence that we don't normally perceive. And they're drawn to our world, to our energy, our life force. It's almost like they're trying to feed off of us.
Okay, that is giving me chills. Like, imagine something from another dimension latching onto you, trying to drain your energy. That's the stuff of nightmares.
Yeah, it definitely plays on some primal fears, but the theory doesn't stop there. Some people take it even further. They say that these interdimensional beings might not just be looking for a quick snack. They might be trying to find a way to permanently cross over into our world.
Whoa, like a full-on invasion.
Well, not necessarily an invasion in the classic sense. It's more like they're looking for cracks in the fabric of reality, weak points they can exploit to slip through. And maybe a living person is like a back door they can use.
Okay, I'm officially freaked out now. But it's so fascinating, it really makes you wonder about the nature of these possessions. Were some of them genuinely just lost souls? Or were they something far more sinister? And that kind of ties into the next conspiracy theory we wanted to discuss, the one about, secret societies.
Ah, yes, the secret society. It wouldn't be a good conspiracy theory without them, would it?
Right. So this theory says that there are these like shadowy organizations out there, and they've figured out a way to not only contact these interdimensional beings, but to control them, maybe even use them as weapons.
Exactly. It's like they've tapped into a power source that most people can't even comprehend, and they're using it for their own, often nefarious purposes.
Okay, so this idea of secret societies manipulating things behind the scenes, it's a pretty common trope, right? But is there anything in traditional Jewish mysticism that actually suggests, the possibility of controlling a spirit like a Dybbuk?
That's a good question. To be honest, not really. In traditional Kabbalah, which is Jewish mysticism, there's a lot of emphasis on understanding and interacting with the spiritual realm, but it's more about seeking knowledge and guidance, not about domination or control.
So this idea of weaponizing a Dybbuk, that's really a modern twist on the legend.
I think so. It reflects more contemporary anxieties, fears about hidden power, about being manipulated by forces beyond our understanding. It's almost like a metaphor for the way people feel about, powerful institutions and governments. Like there's this sense that someone is always pulling the strings, even if we can't see them.
That's a really interesting point. It's like the Dybbuk becomes a symbol for all the things that we feel powerless against. But, okay, before we get too deep into the conspiracy rabbit hole, I think it's important to, step back for a minute and consider a more grounded perspective.
You mean like, what if it's not supernatural at all?
Exactly. Is it possible that what's been interpreted as Dybbuk possession throughout history could actually have a more, scientific explanation, like maybe some kind of undiagnosed medical condition?
Absolutely. I mean, if you look at the symptoms that people have associated with possession erratic behavior, speaking in tongues, hallucinations, loss of consciousness, those could potentially align with a number of different neurological or psychological conditions.
Yeah, conditions that, centuries ago people wouldn't have had the knowledge to understand.
Right. Think about something like dissociative identity disorder, what used to be called multiple personality disorder. A person experiencing that could seem like they're shifting personalities, exhibiting behaviors that are totally different from their usual self. To someone who didn't understand the condition, it could easily look like a different entity taking over.
Whoa, that's actually a really compelling point. So instead of a spirit possession, it could be a manifestation of a mental health condition that just wasn't recognized at the time.
Exactly. And then you have conditions like epilepsy, which can cause seizures that involve convulsions and loss of consciousness. Imagine witnessing someone suddenly collapse, their body shaking uncontrollably, and then they come to and have no memory of what just happened. It's not hard to see how that could be interpreted as something supernatural, especially in a time when medical science was far less advanced.
That's true. It really makes you think about how our understanding of the world shapes how we interpret events.
Absolutely. And even today, there are things we don't fully understand about the brain and how it works.
So where does that leave us? What are your thoughts on all of this? Do any of these conspiracy theories resonate with you, or do you lean more towards the skeptical viewpoint?
I'm fascinated by the intersection of folklore, history, and human psychology. And what's so interesting about the Dybbuk is that it touches on all of those things.
That's a really good point.
Whether you believe in interdimensional beings or secret societies controlling spirits, or you see these stories as reflections of our anxieties and our evolving understanding of the human mind, there's no denying that the Dybbuk legend and the theories it's inspired offer a really captivating glimpse into the human experience.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, we've explored the traditional understanding of the Dybbuk, we've gone deep into these really compelling conspiracy theories, and we've even considered alternative explanations rooted in science and psychology. It's been quite a journey.
It really has, and I think it highlights our enduring fascination with the unknown, our need to make sense of the things that scare us, the things that we don't understand.
That's so true. So, to everyone listening, what do you make of all this? Do any of these theories resonate with you? Why or why not? We'd love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, and remember, even if you don't buy into the conspiracy theories, there's still a valuable lesson to be learned here.
What's that?
Well, when you encounter a story like this, whether it's about the Dybbuk or something else that seems supernatural, don't just take it at face value.
Yeah, dig deeper.
Exactly. Ask yourself, what deeper fears or anxieties might this story be reflecting? And what does it tell us about ourselves, about our culture, about our place in this vast and mysterious universe?
Such a thought-provoking way to wrap things up. Thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive. It's been an absolute pleasure exploring the strange and fascinating world of the Dybbuk with you. And to our listeners, thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next time for another deep dive into the unknown.